So hopefully this is working. I tried to jump in a couple of minutes earlier and it kicked me off. So hopefully now uh, we're live and going through. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna try and not waste too much of your time. It just kind of jumps straight into it, but I'll just give it a moment to see if anybody else jumps in. Um, Obviously, this has been streamed and recorded, so once we finish the streaming, you'll be able to access it and go through it at your own pace. But ideally, if you're watching now, you might want to jump in and get ready to go through it with me. Go through how to clone yourself relatively easily. You'll need a few dollars, a few bucks to use the platform that we're going to use, but nothing too outrageous, and no, certainly not signing up to like a monthly recurring fee with like ChatGPT or Gemini or one of those kind of the big players. But I'll show you how you be able to use all of them actually through this platform. All right, so we're going to get cracking. Let me see if I can share my screen. See if I can get that to work. Go to entire screen. Hopefully this works. Maybe if one of you can ping me in the chat and say you can see the screen just so I can crack on with it, or even just hit the little like button so I know that it's happening. And also if you can hear me, that would be good. So yeah, just let me know in there. Yep, you can see the screen. Thanks, mate. We can get cracking on it then. So these are some of the documents I put together. We're not going to go through all of this. That will take a while, and I'm not going to read through all of it. But I will share not all of them, some of them. If you got my notes, my emails, you would have seen that some people would have opted into to support me with just pay whatever you want through that. If you want the link, I can share it in the chat. Obviously, you have more than enough actually to go through and do what we're going to do today, and then the rest of the modules I kind of go more into depth as to like, I've got some prompts that are ready to go, and how to sort of massage your style to fit you and whatnot. But the first few bits of it is just going to show you essentially what to log into, how to get in there, how to upload your images. So hopefully if you did your homework and you want to get cracking on it now as we're doing the live, you can. You will need some photos of yourself. At least ideally 30 would be like a good number. I've got about 30 on them and it seems to work, but if you do less, you can still make it work. It's just actually mine's a good example of probably one not to do, because I'll show you my photos. They're not all ideal in the sense they're not this is what I'm going to show stupid pictures anyway, but there's probably not enough angles, so you probably need some side shots. So I kind of got some side shots, and then I've got some just random standard shots. And I didn't quite make it to 30, about 28, close enough. But yeah, you probably need at least 20 to get this going properly, because obviously it needs to feed off enough. So if you don't have enough sort of angles, it's going to struggle to. It's not going to struggle to clone you, to make a version of you. It's just going to struggle to give you variety, when you start prompting it and you start asking for multiple angles and whatnot. So just if you have them, great. If you don't have it, just you can watch along and then do it on your own. The platform that we're going to be using, so I mean, I'll walk you through this if you want, but basically this is kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to create your DJ kind of lookalike. And for example, if you've purchased in the past my sort of social media social media templates. You've got a whole bunch of templates that you can use, but one of the challenges with it is obviously you need images, and you may not have all those images of yourself available. So what this does is it can take whatever of your images that you have on your, on your phone, compile them together, and then it can basically create more versions of you, so that you don't have to go do like a photo shoot or photo session every time you need to post something. You'd have a whole bunch of them. You can then tell the AI to give you different styles or different versions of it, different scenes, different scenarios, and then that means that you can have an endless amount of images, so you don't have to worry about that. So all the captions that I've already kind of pre-built for you, you can just quickly adjust them, put your image in, and you're ready to go. Basically, that's kind of the end game. Once you've trained this platform, you can then create as much as you want, and you can not only create video, you can not only create images, but then I'll show you how you can also create some quick little videos versions as well, and that way there's a bit of animation. Obviously, videos work better than images these days. So if you do that, then you're ahead of the pack already. So that's kind of the gist of it. The one thing I'll say, going back to the images, is that you do want to name them. So the key thing in all this will be this, what they call a trigger word. So you need a word in the name of the file that you'll be able to trigger the actions from, if that makes sense. It'll make sense when I go through it, but basically, yeah, you need a trigger. So my trigger word is just pato, which is actually means duck in Spanish. So that way I've named them all from 1 to 28, but with that trigger word in the file. Because what happens is you'll see that when I put the prompt in, you use that trigger word to call the images, and then it knows that, okay, you want me to create an image based on the trained images that are sitting on the files system. Again, it'll make sense once we go through it. Hopefully that all brings you up to where we need to go. And I'll show you the platform. So the platform that we're using is this one. It's probably not as, I should really show you, like, I don't think I could, because I'm already logged in and it's not going to show you the, let me see if I just show you the actual home page, just so you know that when you land there, that's where you are. This is it's file.ai. It's not a great name. If you go to the pricing, it's going to confuse the shit out of you. It confused me. I don't really know, what it all means, but all I know is when I've added money into it, it really doesn't go through that much of your money to get you a result. So that's kind of why I said with about $20, you'll be able to do enough damage to get you enough your foot in there, to at least get you to do one training, and then from that training you can do a bunch of images from it. So this is kind of what it looks like once you log in. Well, this is like what the home page looks like, and then, but really there's a bunch, the way it works is there's a bunch of different models inside. So that's kind of the benefit of it. And you can see I've only got $14 on there. This is a new account that I set up for this. So you can see it doesn't really need a lot of money to get started. I've already used some of it because I was playing around with it last night just to make sure I don't fuck up the live session. But basically, you have all these different models. So what these, you're kind of training, you can train through laurels, which are in there, but there's also a whole bunch of models here that you can use as like the very, very latest ones. You've got like, if you're familiar with like the video stuff, Vio from Google's in here, and Nano Banana, if you try to use the image builder in ChatGPT, that's in here as well. So ByteDance so there's different video builders in here as well. You can see there you got Vio 3.1. There's a ton of them basically. But it can be overwhelming because there's a lot of stuff in there. So there's a lot of models if you go down. So you can even do audio, which maybe we'll do another video about that. Like, for example, if you wanted to do hooks and sort of teasers for particular clients, for example. You could do that. You could offer that as well. So, but I haven't played with this one as much. So maybe I'll have a play with it, and then we will do another another video on it. But this is kind of what we usually actually this what's called a LoRa um, trainer. So this is kind of where we will be playing in this space, and that's kind of what we've got. So if you go to, I mean, if you don't find it here, you will find it if you just do LoRa. So if you type in like LoRa, it'll come up. Most of these will come up, and it'll be the LoRa trainer. So if you're in this browse mode, you might not see it straight away. So you just go type do a search for LoRa. Oops, not LoRa, and there's all these trainer. This is the one we're using. This fast training, which is it does the job. It does enough, and I've got it here from the recent ones. So LoRa fast training, that's the one. If you use it, you might want to just favorite it so that you can find it easier. So we're using that one. We're using the text to image. So once you've trained your LoRa, then you go to this process of text to image. So you put a prompt of what you want, and that'll do that. It'll basically pick up the training that you've done, and it'll start spitting out new images from it. And then you can also go image to image. So for example, you might have an image that you've created, and then you might have some styles, which we won't do that on this particular session, but you can also do styling on it. So you may have a collection of styles that you collected, like say a bunch of DJ style images that aren't your own necessarily, but you want to base it on that. So you would have your own images, but then you say, I want to give it a particular style of an approach. That would be how you would do that, and basically it'll spit out versions of you stylized to what you've asked for, basically. Cool. So hopefully that'll make sense. So we'll do the training. We'll do one training. So I'll show you how that looks, and you'll see that I've done one here already. So I'm not going to actually trigger it, but I'll go through the motion so you can see what it's done, just so I don't unnecessarily waste more money. But basically, this is where you would land. You would need, like I said, that file, and you need that file zipped up. So that's one thing that you mentioned is you want to have it sequentially. If you don't know how to do this, if you're on a Mac, it's really easy because you can basically go to rename, and then you would give it the name. So that would be your trigger word that you want. So your trigger word and something else, for example, and then it'll just number them from 1 to whatever, and it's done for you. I think you can, I don't know how to do it on Windows. Unfortunately, I'm not a Windows user, but I suspect it's probably the same thing, probably something similar. So actually, I'll just do it so you can see. I'm just going to copy these, and if I'm here and I was to rename this, so just rename it, and we'll call it YouTube. So it'll rename them all from 1 to 28. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward. And then you'll have to zip this file. So you want to then, so I'll just rename this so the same. You don't have to rename the file, but might as well. And then you want to zip that. So on Mac, you just compress it. On a Windows, I believe you just press zip, and it will zip it like that. And it will give you a zip version. So you need that zip version to upload into here. So all you do is pick your zip file, which would be that one, for example. And then you put your trigger word. So that's why it's going to ask you for that trigger word. So in this case, it would be that YouTube. And this is where I mentioned about the install. So we're not going to do that for this scenario where you would go, so you're training it for a style. So for basically, if I had a bunch of images that I like the style of it, and it's all following a similar theme, you would do that. So you would train the LoRa just to pick up that particular style. let me know if there's anything that I'm just rambling on, and I'm going too quickly. Just pop it in the questions. Even if I don't get to it now, I'll still reply to them after the fact. And or if you got any very particular questions, you can always email me, pat@djsuccesskit.com. Um, so yeah, you've basically uploaded the file. You got the trigger word. That's basically all you need. There's a bunch of options here that you can go through and explore. You got these steps. I've played around, and you can see if you look at my training history for this one, I I chose 2-1-4-1. I honestly I've been kind of playing around with this uh, anecdotally. So it could be I've tried. If I think if you go too far, it doesn't quite. It just does a bit too much. It takes too long, and it doesn't really give me that much of a result, to be honest. So you don't want to go, all the way to that. Well, I've never tried going all the way to that. I mean, you're welcome to if you want to spend some dollars and test it out. You don't need to turn this on because you haven't processed it yet. You won't need this either unless you want to put a date on it. And that's all you do. You kick start. Then it'll take a few moments to train it, and then it'll give you an output. Um, so it'll give you basically it'll show you another one here. So basically it'll just show the exact same thing. Like I said, I'm not going to do it because it's the exact same photo, so I'm just going to be kind of wasting money because it's the same thing. But you'll end up with this. Then what you want to do from here is you want to run interference. What it's called, interference, and you click on that. What it's actually doing, it's taking you to this text to image, which I mentioned at the start. So it goes. So one of them was training. Now we've gone out of training, and now we're actually in executing mode. So it's got my LoRa, which has been trained, and that's the URL for it. So I've got it all there, and then it's pulled in the trigger word already. So it's got pulled in the trigger word that I set up originally. Um, so all I need to do there is put a prompt of what I want it to look like. So let's go and get a prompt. I'll just go and pull whichever one. Let me just see. I think I put one somewhere in here. We can just use it as a test. Where is it? Now these are all instructions. So you're gonna get all these. I'm gonna drop them all into the description once I'm done. So don't stress. You'll be able to access all of this. Yeah. So that's one that I was looking at before. So full body. So this is kind of what you want to prompt as. This is a basic one. So we'll go back here and oops, where are we? We're in the right one. No, I was going to show you that later. I just lose my way through it. Oh, here we are. Yeah, so the trigger word is there. Drop the prompt in there. So I've got it in there. I'll put the holding note in there, so I can put my trigger word in there just to make sure. So I've already got it in there. I will put it there so it's easier. What I'll do is I've noticed just between you and I that it tends to make me look fatter, I think, than what I am, or maybe that's just how fat I am. But maybe it was the angles of photos that I provided. So I'm gonna put slim just to try and lose some weight on the images. Uh, and then it just says, professional DJ wearing a tailored black suit, sitting behind a DJ booth. I might change this to a large shoot. And then you put like things like the light, the light, and how the style and hyper realistic. I always put that in just to make sure that it feels real, it looks real, and that's it. That's the prompt. Um, the scaling again, you can see it's kind of like the weight. So if you keep going over one, what tends to happen, it's kind of exaggerates things. So it's it's not ideal. I tend to just stick with one, and if you go below, it'll kind of like steer off a little bit of what you look like, so it might not end up looking exactly the same as uh, what you'd wanted. Um, so yeah, I kind of don't mess with that too much. And then down here, it'll tell you the image size that you want. It'll be the default, or you might want a square version, or we'll just go for a square version, I guess. Keep it simple. And then the number of steps. Again, I tend to keep that in the middle. You can play around with it. Uh, that gives you a pretty good result in that middle stage. But yeah, you can play around with this kind of um, it. It's that the number of steps it's going to take to perform the cloning, I guess. And then the guidance. You can go high, or basically it's how close you want the model to stick to your prompt, basically. So you can go again kind of in the middle or whatever. It just depends. I'll just put it at 11. um, Number of images, so you might want a few images, or just one to test it. Let's just do 3 so we can see 3 different versions. And then the output format will be, you can, if you want a JPEG or PNG, which I suggest just stick to PNG because it's a little bit better quality than the JPEG. And that's it. So now I'll just embarrass myself so you can see the photos from it. So it'll take a few moments to create it. It doesn't take too long usually. So yeah, look, it's giving me a bit more hair because I got less hair there on that one, so it's probably not ideal. But that one's more close to me, uh, more realistic. Sometimes it puts, because I've got a bunch of the images with the hat on, you can see, and then I've got some at the bottom without it. So it just depends of which one it's going to, and you could even dictate uh, which one you want this C to be, I think. But yeah, you don't have to. You can just let it work its magic. You can do a few more and see what comes out with it. And again, you notice that if you change things, it'll kind of give you a different version. So you need to play around with this, but more importantly than the output, I wanted to show you the cost. So it doesn't really. So I think, I don't know if for those who were watching, I had like $14.91, and just do it, or let's do it again. So if you do 14.81, and do another run, let's just keep everything as is and see what happens. Yeah, so I mean, it does a pretty good job. It's not a great image of me in a tube, but that's pretty close. So you can do very, very. So if you try doing this, for example, on something like ChatGPT, it does a pretty poor job at keeping the way you look because it instinctively doesn't want to do that from, I guess, from a privacy perspective. Whereas this one will do a better job at just copying things off. So, for example, if I was to copy this one, so I've got that one here, and then what you could do. So once you can do different styles. So let's just go and find more because I've got a bunch of these little prompts already built. So let's just try something else. So you got like, so, oops, did I not? I didn't save that probably. My bad. I only saved the full stop. It's better. So trigger word. So just remember that trigger word is the key thing. If you don't put that, then you're kind of stuffing it up. Walking through a wheat field at sunset, wearing a flowing white dress. Fuck. All right, let's go. That's gonna be embarrassing and on YouTube forever. I wonder what kind of dress I'll have. Hope I shave my legs. Oh, that's not even me. So that's not good. So obviously, if the prompt is not even remotely close to what you look like, it's not going to work. So pick your prompts wisely. So that would be more. That's the one I used already, so I'm not going to use that one. So let's use this one. And again, replace the trigger word. I'm going to see if I can get my hat in there. Because I do want my cat in there. Oops. And let's just see if it runs. Yeah, so basically, once you've done this, then you can have a look at yeah, I mean that's me. It's like a weird walking stance though, but it's me. So you can test out different ways, and basically you will need, like a little bit of a budget to test around. But like I said, look, I haven't even gone. I still haven't spent for $1, and I've just been mucking around here, and maybe if I just add that, it'll change. So I don't look so. Again, I don't know why it keeps trying to make me look so fat. I'm really conscious now that I'm obviously a lot fatter than I think because Laurel thinks I'm fucking fat. So yeah, I mean, if it obviously will depend on which of these prompts you choose to use, and then obviously you can add more bits and bobs to it. So I've got a bunch of these here, which I wasn't gonna put them in there, but I'll share these as well, so at least you've got something to go from and test out. And then the idea is that once you've got another model. So if I go back, for example, to my home, and you can, well, actually to explore, you can explore the different ones that are out there. But I'll just go to here because I know that I already used that video one, image to video. So this is using Kling, which it's a pretty high-end video builder. So again, you can put a request to take your static image, and then yeah, okay, so I saw that show my costs. Yeah, so uh, let's do it again. Let's run it again just so you can see exactly. I think it's literally spending maybe like, 12 cents or something per each time I use it. So let's do it again. And where is my? So I got to go. So one thing I'll say, it's relatively annoying. The navigation on this software is not great. It's like a bit tricky. So my suggestion is go to Explore and do a search for LoRa fast training. Once you do that, so it should come up. It should usually come up there. So it's the LoRa fast training. So that's the one thing I struggle with a little bit here, is that there's so many options that it's not like, even when you do LoRa, there's heaps of LoRa's there. Like, just so many options there. So use the LoRa fast training. Once you get in here, you will see your training history if you've used it in the past, and then this is where you upload that zip file. But I'm not going to do that again. And this is the one that I've already run, so I can just go, okay, run interference. When you click run interference, it takes you to the text to image prompt thingy. So let's get another one, because I've got enough images of me walking around. Did I close the prompts under they're here? So let's try this one, and I will put slim because I refuse to be as fat as this thing wants to. So I want my black cap. Now I'll just put and again, we don't really have to mess with too much of the settings, so I might just leave it all where it is. Let's just see. Let's just get two images and put as PNG. Default size. I don't know what the default size is actually. We just leave it actually. See what size it is. All right. So let's be conscious of we're at $14.39. So when you run it, let's see how much money it costs us. It is just to print two. I should have just done one, so you know how much each image will cost you. But we can all add up, right? So it's on two images, and it didn't even go down, did it? I can't remember. Was it the same? 14. Let's see. Let's do it again. $14.39. Maybe I have to refresh the screen to check how much it is. Yeah, so 49.39. So it's literally just a few cents, a couple of cents per image. So it doesn't cost too much to do any of these. And once you've done this, then you can go, for example, jump into that cling one that I showed you. There's heaps of different video ones, and this is one that I did with one of the videos. It doesn't do a lot. It's usually like 5 seconds. I think you can extend it. Yeah, so you can go like a 10-second version. So let's just see. And it's obviously what I've done is I've uploaded the image that I wanted to use, and that's what it's using. And then let's just run it again. I might just change it to maybe wide shot. Let's see that. This is where you can go and have a look at like some of the terminology that maybe filmmakers use, because I know they use like wide shots or sort of panning and all that sort of those sort of phrases. So you can have a go at them and see what you come out. Every time you're doing this, by the way, like for example, if I've done that, if you click creator, this little button here, it'll show you all of the outputs, so you can always go back and find all the stuff. The girl version of me, it was ridiculous. So you can always go back and see how sometimes it doesn't do a great job. So you can see here, like it's giving me all this extra hair, which is I'm very thankful for, but it's just amazing. So, but some of what I like about it is that the photos feel very real. So that, for example, that feels quite realistic, and it doesn't look like it's been sort of posed. So you can kind of get these, and then you could probably go back and then style them, which again, I'm not going to go through that just yet today, just otherwise it'll be a very long live, and we're already at 30+ minutes in. So, but I just wanted to share how you can do this in a few steps, relatively straightforward. And then take these kind of realistic images, and then if you wanted to, you can add some styled images, blend the two things. So I might do another session just to do that, or I might just do a quick video and upload it. I'm about bored from that sense. This thing is still going, so still building. So when you do the videos, it does take quite a while sometimes. Obviously, it's no mean feat to turn your static image into a video, so you gotta be a bit patient with it. So we'll come back in a bit, or unless you guys want to stare at this little funny thing. But meantime, I'll show you what I will be sharing, which is basically these. You know what? I'll just share the first 6 of them just so that it makes sense. There's no point me skipping this one. So and then I'll keep the other ones, and there's a few extra files that I'll save for those of you who were kind enough to drop a few dollars in my account. Thank you so much. The video to to go through. I should be able to put it in there. Yeah, so there's a link if you're interested. Much obliged. Let's see if this thing finished. There, I'm pumping. Oh, look, you got to give it probably more more details there. Maybe wearing a headphone and having some bits and pieces. So you do want to give it some more direction. That's a pretty basic um, prompt. And so what you would do with that, for example, again, if you have downloaded, if you have access the the social media template that I've got, which I'll share that on the links as well if you want to grab it, um, and then you'll be able to see to basically replace the images easily. You have the captions already. I've got like about 50 captions in there that you can choose from. So it just saves you a lot of time. Basically, all I'm trying to do is save your time, save you some time. Nobody wants to sit here and post stuff on socials all day. It's not really what we started doing this to begin with. So just saves you a bit of time and let you get on with it and help you promote yourself. Um, the next step with that would be if you want to put some money behind it, I can show you how to run ads. So maybe I'll do another live just on that. But you can probably, if you're interested in that, you can go back and look at videos on the channel. It's about a long almost 1 hour video where I walk through that process on how to run little ads for yourself. So jump in there and have a look. And I think that is it. I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of stuff here that you can go through and read yourself. I've tried to be as detailed as possible, and I realize that we don't all learn the same way. Some of us are visual, some of us like to prefer to read the stuff word for word. So I've done it with that in mind. Um, it's obviously very rough because I've just kind of put it together, so there's no branding and stuff. I might do a little bit of at least drop my logo in there before I share it with you guys. So I'll pop that all in the descriptions um, in the next couple of hours. So just come back and look at the link if you want to. Um, Thanks, Jeffrey. Thanks for the kind comment. Um, my pleasure. Hopefully you got a bit of value from it. There's obviously a bunch of stuff you can do here as well. Like, I mean, I've only shown you two, but like I mentioned, like if you go to the explore, there's so much you can do. So once you start doing images, and like I said, you could with $5, you'd have a ton of images. Like you'd have a shit ton of images, really, and then you'd be able to explore all of these different modes, whether it's a video or upscaler. For example, if the image is not high enough quality, you need to print it. You can do that. You can upscale it. You can do again video with Seed Dream, which is like another one that does a different sort of effect. So you can go through and play with that the VO 3.1. Now this is great because it actually it charges like a fraction of what you would pay Google. Like if you have a Google account, you need a Google Pro account for starters if you want to use the Google's VO 3 or 3.1, and this is giving it to you at a fraction of a cost. So you can take advantage of that as well. Zora, which is is a new video which everyone's been using as well. Again, you can do that through here without having to go through their actual platform. So that's what I really like about this platform. Is you've got all that choice without having to go and create all these multiple accounts, and you don't have to go and sign up for a monthly fee. If you don't do any videos or any photos this month, you still end up paying the $20 or $30. And yeah, like you said, Jeffrey, you don't need to be on Midjourney. You don't need to be on like Leonardo, for example, which is another really good image builder. It's all here. So this is bringing all of these together. I definitely will look at this audio one, and maybe I'll do another live just to go through it. I haven't had a chance to really explore them all, but there's quite a few of those. It'd be really cool, I think, to create unique music. That would be a really unique offering and probably a unique angle that you could go to market with when you're stacked against a whole bunch of DJs, and you can basically say to them, I can give you some unique snippets or sounds, or even in complete like songs built specifically for the bride and groom, for example, or for a corporate event. You could use that. So I'm gonna have a play with it, and then show you some examples and come back to you, or maybe do another one. So yeah, that's it. If you got any other questions, pop them in there in the comments. Obviously, once I finish this, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much for jumping on. Appreciate it. I'm gonna get on with my day because it's actually really early in Sydney. So, and I crack on with it. Take care.